Today we have a special guest joining me and Metalivia in our Meta office. Awakening Events is going to be joining us to talk about what future events could look like in the virtual world, in the Metaverse. So we have Curtis, Chad, and Lindsay joining us in the Meta office to talk a little bit more about what these future events could look like. So make sure in the comments that you leave us any kind of questions or feedback, because we want to be engaging with you during this conversation. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So we're very excited to have you all here. We have Curtis. He's actually in his own meta body right now.
Right.
I don't know if you call it a meta body. What has the meta body experience been like for you right now, Curtis, so far?
A couple of glitches, but that's to be considered normal with technology when you're a 40-plus-year-old guy at this point in life.
Well, I have to say, I'm 43, and I got a lot of glitches in my normal body, too.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's great. Well, we're glad you're here. And then we have right here on our virtual Zoom that these people don't have headsets, but they're joining us to experience it. We have Chad here, and we have Lindsay from Awakening Events. So we're glad that you both are here as well.
Thank you. We're glad to be here.
I've had the headset for a week or two now and just tinkering with it, and I'm truly, honestly, surprised at how realistic it feels when you're sitting here. I'm sitting on my own couch in my own home with my own dog laying
like
somewhere over there. Yeah. I mean, we're a little close, Olivia, but that's okay. It's really immersive, and it's really it's exciting me about what there could be in the future.
So we're excited. So, this is a great opportunity for us to come together. We're just going to brainstorm about what venues could look like, share some of our experiences, and let you guys ask questions too, because we know this is new for you. Let us know in the comments during this time, have you ever even thought about attending a virtual event in the Metaverse, or would you consider that? Let us know that in the comments. We'd love to get your feedback. So with that, Curtis, do you want to just let everybody know a little bit about who you are in case they don't know?
Sure. Obviously, my name is Curtis. I've been in the live entertainment industry for, almost 20 years now. Awakening Events has been my only home. It's been my favorite place to be. We've been doing this since about 2005. So it's been a long time. And I can honestly say when we first started doing this, if you had told me that we'd be sitting on a couch with a headset on talking about the concept of potentially events coming to life in a space where people can view them from home, and like it's completely surreal. But we definitely want to make sure that we're staying on the front end of this stuff. But I'm just super excited about the future, the ability to find new ways to bring content to our fans. Chad has always said something that has always triggered for me, that what we do in live entertainment is really just we take the product that is the music and transform it and move it into the live realm for people to experience it in the live realm. So I'm really excited to see how we can find what is the live realm that's not really the live realm.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I love that.
That's amazing.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then right here on the Zoom screen, we have Chad and we have Lindsay. Chad, do you want to tell a little bit about yourself and what you do, and then we can jump over to Lindsay and let Lindsay introduce herself.
Yeah, like I said, Chad, I work with Curtis in the marketing department here at Awakening Events, and was brought in because I spent about 15, 20 years in radio prior to working with Awakening, and doing events from that perspective. So just brought in to be able to work with radio and various media forms so we can promote our shows and get the word out. So that's basically what I do, and just other little random task as assigned as we joke around, but it's just kind of the try to be that good utility infielder.
Yes,
so.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, Chad and Lindsay.
Yeah, so I'm Lindsay. My background is in marketing, events, and promotions. I started a tech startup and then went to radio and then on the record label side, and I have been with Awakening for almost a year now. I worked alongside them for many years, and so I was excited to join the team and be a part of the live event space.
That's awesome.
We have a tendency to try to collect trophies from over the years. Like it seems like everybody that ends up working with us, Chad, he was at the Fish Atlanta, and we did shows in Atlanta for years. Lindsay was with KillerB in the indie market, and when we see talent as we come across that, we try our best to snatch it up when we can. So we're
That's
excited to have
awesome.
both of these guys on
Olivia,
the
can you
team.
come sit over here, please, Olivia?
Yeah.
I don't want.
She's in our stable now. We've already
Hi,
promoted
I'm
her. Yeah.
Olivia. I work
Yeah.
at Awakening Events
Exactly. Yeah.
for about
That's
a day
awesome.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. I would love to know, just really quickly, your what and why your team is open to discuss this, like to even talk about the metaverse.
Yeah, I think if you had asked me about this in 2019, let's say the technology had advanced to where it is now, and you asked me
Mhm.
this in 2019, I'm probably going to blow it off and not really consider it. We do live events. That's what we do. We're a live entertainment company. We're based in live events. And the concept of online events or metaverse events or however you want to describe it has always just been one of those things that it's like, it's not what we do.
Yeah.
Um, we ran into this little thing in March a few years ago that everybody had to experience, called a pandemic,
Hmm.
and it caused all of us in the live entertainment industry to really reevaluate what we're doing, how we're doing it, what does the future look like. It was one of those situations where, out of what was a very, very, very unfortunate situation, we were thrust into forward-looking things that we
Mm,
hadn't even considered before. Um, we watched a lot of people try online events. We tried some ourselves, and then we took a little bit of a left turn and started going to drive-in movie theaters all across the country.
yeah.
And luckily, we were able to keep working. We were able to grow during a time when a lot of people weren't. But that moment of, hey, what happens if the standard traditional live event that we're all used to, what happens if that goes away for some reason? So that really kind of engaged our gears and got us looking at new options and things like that. And now that we're back to doing, for the most part, normal shows with no restrictions and everything like that, we just want to make sure that we're still looking forward to that next thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was kind of a necessity that we started looking at these things. But now we're back to doing normal shows, so we can look at these things as the fun and the exciting things in the future that
Yeah.
we can grow into.
Brian, you've been in Horizon venues a lot. Can you tell us what that's like, how you've seen change, and all of that
Yeah.
stuff?
Definitely. There's been a lot of changes since we first got the Oculus, and well, the Oculus 2 is what we're using. So if you don't know what that is, you can click. There's a link in the description if you want to check that out. But yeah, we started at the beginning. Horizon Venues was its own app. So you had Horizon Venues and you had Horizon Worlds. Horizon Venues, the way it used to be, to share with you guys, is that it was like going to a movie theater. So you would go into venues and you'd be walking through like a movie theater lobby, and they have all these doors, and you could choose which show you wanted to go to. And you would go into there, and a lot of them would be like this just huge like video screen around you, and you got to experience and go to like balconies. The balconies were kind of cheesy then. They've come a long way from where it was then. But it was really cool because I went to a Foo Fighters concert. Check that out. I actually went and visited a live church service on a Sunday. And at that time, in the lobby, when I went in, they had people out in the lobby that worked for the church greeting you. Like you would come by and like, hey, hallelujah, and they would just like say stuff to you, and you'd go in, and they had a virtual pastor that came in and hung out and took selfies and friended everybody, and you could watch the church service. They had worship music, and people were worshiping they're like their
Yeah.
hands up, virtual, their meta hands up, worshiping, and it was really cool to experience that. But now it has transitioned where Horizon Venues has combined with Horizon Worlds. Now, Horizon Worlds is that's the app that you actually build your own worlds. So right now we're in Horizon Workrooms. This is like an office space where we can kind of meet. But Worlds is you build your own worlds. You can visit worlds. You can go to some of the worlds, which we'll share with you guys. Um, but they combined it, so now Horizon Venues is in there. So I just jumped in there recently because there's changes coming out almost every day. And to give you a heads up, Chad and Lindsay, like knowing you guys are marketing, this is what I saw today. I went in there because I went to a Roots concert, and the balconies are so much cooler. Now it's these black, like you go into an actual concert and you go down this hallway, and there are billboard signs all down the hallway advertising new shows coming up. You go down, here's this big, the concert happening with the Roots. I went downstairs, like the balconies now you can walk downstairs, and they have a couch and you can sit there and talk to friends, while the concert's going on right there. So really cool. But now when you go into venues, right when you first enter, it's like an actual world instead of just a lobby like at a theater. So they have games where people are doing things together to build community. But now they have big billboards right when you go in saying, hey, here's a show that's coming up. Do you want to attend it? Are you interested? And you can click that you're interested and they'll give you notifications. The reason why they brought those together is because now when you build these Horizon worlds, like we've built a YouTube studio, and we can actually host closed events or schedule events. So, imagine with an artist, or for instance, I'm going to have Olivia share about a comedy club that we went to, which is really big in the metaverse. There's a comedy club called the Soapstone Comedy Club. And we'll share that experience. But what's cool about that is you can actually host events where people can add it to their calendar and come to that event and be a part of it. I took Olivia to this comedy club. She had never been on Horizon Worlds yet. This is before they combined it. I said, Olivia, let me take you in and show you some of the worlds and what people are doing, the possibilities. So I took her to the Soapstone Comedy Club, and I'm going to paint you a picture of what happened. We get there, and we're just in there in the lobby area talking, and they have like these seats that's sitting up on the sides. And as we're talking about stuff, there's a person with a group of people walking around, and they're pointing at the lights and saying like, yeah, I would like this light here to be like changed, or the color or something. And we're like, huh, that's weird. And Olivia said, I think that's the person that works here, or they're actually talking business stuff. Like they're talking decor, right?
It was the production manager.
Interesting. Yeah, it was the world creator, and it was very cool because then he jumped up on the stage, and he started just talking about stats. He started just talking stats. I was like, whoa, here, let's pull up they had like a table of benches or stools, and we pulled up a stool and sat down and was listening. And then he looked and he said, oh, I'm sorry guys, this is, we usually do comedy stuff up here. It's just, we're just talking stats right now. I'm probably boring everybody. And we're like, no, please keep going. We want to hear this.
Yeah.
And I know he said like they had like 14,000 unique visitors a month right now.
So for me being in there, my mind was just blown at, the level of engagement you can have. And Curtis, you're probably seeing that now, but we were sitting at a booth. The creator came, sat in the booth with us. Him and Brian are just talking, and I'm sitting there across the table, and I'm like, wow, like you cannot get this level of engagement by comments or even DMs on social.
Oh.
I'm like, this is just a whole new world, like of being able to actually be next to someone, look them in the eye when you're talking to them, and all of that. And so for me, I was just like, this is an amazing opportunity for Christian radio artists and all of that to be able to engage with listeners on a whole entire different level that feels really connected.
I'm actually kind of getting to experience that right now. One of the things I noticed Curtis and Olivia, you both, when you're talking, Curtis is looking at you and he's nodding, and it feels more like you're having eye contact and you're watching people's hands move. So Curtis, you have some thoughts about what we're sharing here. Like, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, immediately I'm again just astonished at how much it really feels like we're sitting all in a conference room having a conversation. It almost forces you, and when I say force, I don't mean that as a bad way, but it forces you to be more present. You know what I mean? Like we've all spent countless hours on Zoom meetings over the last 2 years. We all have. And we all have figured out how to use that mute button, how to use that hide the background. And oh, camera just went off. Don't know what that is. And that's because people are just completely zoning out. You know what I mean?
Right.
It just happens. And in this situation, like, I literally, I was sitting here and Brian and Olivia are talking back and forth. And I honest to goodness, feel like I'm just sitting here as part of a conversation. Like right now I'm looking at Olivia, and we all know it's not actual real. I can't reach out and pat her on the shoulder and say that was, informative, but it really is immersive to the point where you feel connected to the conversation.
Yes.
And it's really impressive. Just in the short time that I've been playing with the technology, I'm really excited. Chad and Lindsay, one of their big challenges in their role is coming up with new ways to partner with radio stations to create promotions
Mm.
that come up with new ways for the fan to experience things with the artist or to
Yeah.
interact with the artist. And obviously, we're having this conversation about, eventually could we see a Toby Mac concert in the metaverse where thousands upon
Yeah.
thousands of fans who aren't able to make it to Red Rocks in a couple of weeks can come in and experience that with our partners in KillerB and our partner of Toby Mac.
Yeah.
And that's
Yes.
going to be amazing. And I feel like that's coming. I don't know how quickly.
Yeah.
I feel like we'll get there. But even in advance of that, I'm starting to think about promotional opportunities between us and the radio stations and our artist partners. We go into
Yes.
market XYZ and we're working with the local radio station there who has a huge audience, huge listeners, and they're just the lead in that market. We always try to partner with them when we have a market.
Oh, he froze up.
No,
I wonder if
Curtis.
he died.
This
Wonder
is
if he
the
died.
downside of the
Oh.
metaverse,
Oh, I
right?
think he.
Oh
Man, he goes to sleep.
no.
Olivia actually checked out something about there was something about the Backstreet Boys. Like we're talking about artists too. So tell me, like,
Yes.
what did the Backstreet Boys do? What was that?
So for their 2020 tour, they actually, they had to cancel that. So they offered people, you can get refunds. They had no idea when they were going to be able to do the show. But for those that didn't get refunds, they actually came up with an NFT that they all got special. So they got this special NFT, and then they were doing this extra special thing where all 5 of the people were getting this NFT that would let them have a meet and greet with the Backstreet Boys anywhere at any show. And they're actually doing them now in 2022. So that's been really cool to see. But they're also, Curtis, think about how we're sitting right now. They're also doing a thing where you're going to be able to sit in the Backstreet Boys private jet in the metaverse and just sit
Yeah.
and hang out with them while they fly. So how cool, like, personally, I'm an NSYNC girl, but how cool would that be to do that with your favorite artists?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people say oftentimes the possibilities are endless, and it's in a situation where the possibilities
Yeah.
obviously have an end. But
Yep.
in this situation, I mean, it really is. It's just what you can dream. You can probably,
Yep.
you can put it together and bring it to life, so to
Yeah.
speak. You know what I mean?
That's what gets me excited too when we're talking about promotional opportunities is that you're reaching people that for CCM, we may not have many artists that are traveling internationally. So you're reaching people around the world that can be a part of those experiences or shows. You're reaching people maybe that are just in smaller towns in the States that we don't take concerts to regularly for a live
Yeah.
experience. Um, and then also, like, one minute you could be sitting with them in a plane, and then the next minute you're at the show, and that's
Right.
that's and or bowling in a different venue right next
Yeah.
to the concert, and that's no downtime or shower in between for the artist to get show ready. Like, just all these opportunities that you can do, for promotional aspects for people
Mm.
around the world, but then also like happen simultaneously or happen, right after each other, that they can just get this full experience all in one night that the logistics don't provide for you to do that in real life in a different way.
Yeah.
And also too, like what Lindsay was just saying. I mean, we saw that was some of the best feedback we got when we did the drive-in theater shows. Was people were like, man, you never bring a concert here. I mean, we were in some of the smallest towns in the country with those
Wow.
things. Bringing Toby and Skillet and Michael W. Smith and Stephen Curtis Chapman, all these different artists to places they've never gone before and probably never will. So now it kind of flips for people who can't get to Atlanta and Dallas and Seattle and places like that, are now have the opportunity to go to those shows and not have to worry about it. That's 4 hours away, or it's like that's the closest I can get. So or a plane ride to Red Rocks is just more than I can handle right now.
Before I forget, there was something you said too. You were talking about bowling and stuff like that. Me and Olivia. Well, her husband loves this bowling game, and she told me about it. So I have all my family. Like, we live in Florida, but my family all lives in up north in Ohio and stuff. And we're building our studio. To give you a couple ideas how that works, our studio right now, our YouTube studio, we have a whole lobby with games that people can play and hang out and have competitions. But the studio is behind glass, and there's these big glass doors that have our logo in it. But to get in there, you have to be a broadcaster or a guest. So we actually had our coder create these B badges, and me and Olivia can go out to the audience and we can put a badge on somebody, and now that allows them to go into the studio, back in the green room, hang out with us or whoever our guests are, but they can only do it with that badge. Now with the bowling, my brothers and all them, I was like, hey guys, I just want to get it together and hang out because we've spent more time together building things and meeting up in worlds than we've ever had, probably when we lived in the same state. It's pretty crazy. Like we go to diners and sit down and just talk to each other at a diner in a virtual world. But I talked them all into getting this bowling game because in the bowling game, we all can bowl together and it's like being in a bowling alley and like they're walking around, we're talking. So imagine doing that with artists, like setting up like a special VIP where they can bowl with an artist. And you can even bring in YouTube music and up on the bowling screen, you can actually be playing their music while they're in there bowling. And I always
Yeah.
put on like my own, like, I can't remember, it's like some 50s and I'm like doing weird dancing and stuff, doing my metaverse dance and stuff. But so there's a lot of possibilities with combining and working these things together. So
Yeah. Yeah, I was even gonna say too, like the way Foo Fighters, for example, it is like, like a 2 or 3 week run. So think about that as well of doing that with an artist where you can't make it that date. Well, you can go whenever it's convenient for
yeah.
you and you're
Yeah.
still getting that concert experience, which I think is really cool.
We're wrapping up this video. You guys, again, let us know in the comments, what are your thoughts about events in the metaverse, in the virtual world? And you guys, walking away from today, do you see even more possibilities, new ideas coming to your thoughts from just this discussion today?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm anxious to get done with this and get these two, and spend some time, um, come up with something different. Like Dan, who started the company, he always challenged me because initially I did all the stuff with radio that Chad and Lindsay are doing now, and I'm blessed to have those two, really take hold of those relationships and really grow with our radio partners. But we've always wanted to try to come up with something, each year over year as we do a different tour, we want there to be some new element of it, right? Like, and we talk all the time, like a phrase that is ingrained in the culture of awakening events is, let's give them something they can't buy off the shelf,
Mm,
right?
Yeah,
yeah.
and
that's
and
amazing.
and that's why, I mean, my wheels are just, the little hamster is going to have a heart attack on the wheel in my brain right now because he's running so fast. So it's just, it really is exciting for the possibilities of things we can come up with to to connect more people with the music and connect more people to the purpose, right? And
Mm,
that's what we
yeah.
do
Right,
all this
right.
for anyway.
Yep.
So
That's
And
right.
Curtis, do you feel like your mind was blown after like hearing people talk about the headset versus actually putting it on and then coming in here?
yeah, and another thing, it's funny. Chad may even have heard me say this, and Weston, another guy who works with us in our office. When I first got it, I'm a guy who, like, I can't play first person video games. 3D movies make me nauseous. Like, it's not something,
Mm,
like Chad was laughing when I ordered this thing. He was like, "Well, you should have just let me order it." And I'm like, "Chad, I'm not excited about this because I'm convinced that it's going to be torture for me. I'm not going to like it. It's going to be very uncomfortable. It's going to be disorienting." There's none of that. Like, it's a
yeah.
very, it's so immersive that, like, I don't have that 3D thickness feeling that you can get from even like some of the rides at, say,
Mm.
Universal when we were back at Momentum. You know
Oh
what I mean?
yeah.
Like, some of those first person rides, like the Harry Potter ride, I just have to close my eyes and enjoy getting flung around because it really does cause a very intense feeling for me, and I'm not getting any of that with this. So
That's
I'm just
awesome.
super excited about it.
Well,
Oh,
I'm
that's
excited
great.
for you guys to test it out too, because I don't know what it feels like to be sitting there on the cameras, like watching a cartoon, and like the same thing. Like there's things that me and Olivia was doing.
Hmm.
He froze. Look at his arms.
Wait, did he do that on purpose?
Yeah, I
No,
did that on
he's
Okay.
purpose. I
Oh,
did
you
do that on
did?
purpose. See,
Okay,
you
I was like, no,
can't.
no,
Oh,
no,
I
that's
was
on
like,
purpose.
You can't
what?
do that. Just
Yeah,
like the Zoom freezes,
yeah,
like you said, like people aren't really paying attention to that. Like not really there.
yep,
I was present. I was faking it.
The huge
But
thing is you can't look at your cell phone. That's the
no,
thing that always
you
distracts
can't.
mm,
me. So you
And
can't,
it
you don't
hmm,
have your phone to look at.
and it does make it feel it's just so much more personal. So it'll be exciting for you guys to get in here and get to the point where we can take you guys around too and show you some more stuff that's happening, because it is like I took Olivia into this just recently. Your main lobby area, Curtis, that you first booted up. Now you wouldn't have known this, but before you couldn't bring friends in. Now you can invite friends into that lobby with you and watch TV together. And I brought Olivia in, and we turned on this video, and it was a 360 video, so it feels like you're in the movie. And it was a big robot, and like this robot's like coming through the woods, and this big tree fell down, and Olivia was like screaming. She's like, "Oh, what's happening? What's going on?" I was like, "This is hilarious. Why am I not recording this?"
I think I watched that same video last night. It looked like a hand that
Yeah.
was like walking through the forest.
Yes.
I watched that last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
I was
Little
like,
red
what
thing
is
blinking
going
on it.
Yeah.
Tripped me out. I was like, wait a minute, I hear stuff over it really is just I mean, it's mind-boggling, really. It's a lot of fun.
Well, and that's a great thing too, is it's a lot of fun. And I think that for us, we're looking at the metaverse as, all the digital platforms we have. We're used to, social media, and there's literally no connection there anymore. Like, people are just doing it just to do it. And what we're looking at with the metaverse and the virtual world is it really becomes more of a social connection through digital. Like, you really are having a conversation. You're moving your hands. You're looking at people, eye contact. You're present. I like that you said
We're high-fiving with Olivia.
And high-fiving, yeah. Yeah, there you go. Awesome. I'm not going to try because I know I have my monitors right here. So we'll
somebody's going to knock the computer over.
Somebody's going to get hurt. Well, you guys, it's going to be interesting to see where this goes in the future when it comes to events. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you click like, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that little bell so you get notifications when we upload new videos like this. So guys, thanks again for joining us. And Chad, do you want to tell everybody where they can find out more about Awakening Events?
Yeah, just go to our website, awakeningevents.com. You'll see all the shows we're working on for the fall and Christmas already. So got a lot coming.